So with this first tool, I'm trying to describe a flow graph. This flow graph could be an interface for designers and artists to define a flow of rooms and of interior layouts. So let's say we want to have an entrance room connected to a dialogue room, and the dialogue room could be a hub where you can go to a loot room that has a 50% chance of existence, or straight to the key room where we collect the key and then we go to a locked room. And from the locked room, we can alternatively go to a loot room at 30% of chance, or to an enemy at 70% of chance, and then at the end to an exit. By defining this flow, we can define an expected layout on the job. So what I'm showing here, it's the solution in Visual Studio where I have exported my flow graph in a JSON format. So I can see my list of rooms and my parent rooms inside the connections of the rooms. Each of the room could have up to 4 connections, so north, south, left, and right for portals, or up and down for elevators and stairs. When I run the solution, I have a visual interface that tries to use bounding volumes. These bounding volumes will represent the rooms listed in the XML, and the rooms are connected through doors. The doors are these little blue dots that you can see, and as you can see, the flow that we have tried to describe is now respected in the layout of the geometry. So we have an entrance point, a few rooms where I have to collect my keys, and then the primary path goes through a locked room to a final climax room, and then to an exit. On the climax room, I also have attached a secondary path that brings me to an eventual loot. And this system allows to have as many as seeds as we need. So for every seed, we can generate a different layout. Every layout will have the necessary flow. So we go through the beginning, and then we go through the mission key door rooms, then we get to the locked room, and then we get to this time to an arena instead of a boss, and then we get to the exit. These layouts are deterministic, so if I want to reproduce the actual seed I had before, which was number 0, I can get exactly the same layout, which means that we can save a lot of space, we can reproduce our geometry layout, and we can test easily our layout configurations. This system actually can support also a three-dimensional layout. So if I activate the verticality, you can see that we actually have vertical transition with the usage of real elevators, and this gives a lot of interesting configurations that we can use for space stations and for spaceships, and also for outposts. We can tweak the number of rooms and volumes that we want to use, so the size of these layouts uh, doesn't really matter. This one is a very big layout, but we can also define a much smaller layout like this. Okay, so the export of these is actually an export of transforms and position. Those bounding volumes could be our object containers. The interface where these editing should happen, it's the sandbox editor. And that's it for the layout. Yeah, another thing we can notice in these layout editor, sorry, is that the organicity of how the things are disposed, because the attachment points and the tag points that connect the rooms are actually not based on a grid, so that we can have a very organic aspect on our layouts.